for Katie. Q for Katie.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Amateur Radio.
Already 5 demerits.
Here's your first slip up.
Go ahead.
Hey, that's your slip up, not mine.
Go ahead.
Welcome to the Amateur Radio Roundtable, where you never know how this show is going to actually get started, but we always manage to pull it off. I'm one of your co-hosts here tonight, Katie WY7YL, along with Dwayne WY7FD, Glenn KW5GP's in the house, as well as Bill WB8ELK, and Alan's back, and doing all kinds of cool techie stuff, W2AEW, and we've got David Rush tonight with us, with KC8JQ /5. I'll have to find out what that's all about. And of course, our illustrious host, Tom, W5KUB. We are broadcasting live on the shortwave station, WBCQ, on 7490. We'd love to hear about where you're listening to us from and what kind of signal report you could give us, or any feedback about the show. If you'd like to send us a note, just drop one to Tom at W5KUB.com. Well, today is already October 19th. I can't believe how quick the year is going by. We've already had our first big snow out here in Wyoming, and some more is on the way. It's just amazing. But really want to say thank you to everybody who's watching out there, whether you're here on the website, W5KUB.com, or on YouTube, or on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, don't forget, hit that like button and subscribe and share with your friends. We'd love to have you join us on our Facebook group. We've got about 12,000 hams on there. And even though it sounds like a lot of people, we're like a big small family, and lots of great information and tips and techniques, and just, new radios are shared on that page, and it's a lot of fun. And hope you'll pop over there. Just look for W5KUB Amateur Radio Roundtable and join our page. We'd love to have you. We've got a lot of stuff going on tonight. We're going to do a few shack pictures. Dave's going to be talking to us about, I believe, Raspberry Pi, if I'm correct. He's nodding. Are you giving me a nod? All right, good. Phew. And Alan always has some great tech tips. Before the show started tonight, I was saying to Alan that I've been hearing his voice in my house a lot lately, because Dwayne's been watching a lot of his videos. And so if you ever are in need of some good tech advice, pop over to Alan's YouTube channel. I believe it's just under your call sign, isn't it, Alan? W2AEW. So check out Alan's YouTube channel for some more info. And so with that, let me make sure I haven't missed anything, because Tom has given me strict instructions not to screw this up tonight. So that means probably will, but that's okay. We like to keep it loose and fun here. So with that saying, I think they covered all. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to the boss. Tom, W5KUB, where are you?
All right,
save me.
I am here. I'm here, and you did good, Katie. I'll just say you did good. Not perfect, but you did good. All right.
Hey, what do you want for a last minute decision?
Well, and guys, let me tell you, we used to talk a lot about this on the show. We used to have hangout after the show, but I may make some boo-boos tonight. I was on, what kind of medicine was that they gave me yesterday? Yesterday I had the webcam sent up the rear, and he put me to sleep, one of those type things, You know what I'm talking about. I'm on the five-year plan. I was sleeping a whole lot yesterday, man, and I don't know if I got all that out of my system or not, but we're going to, if the show goes wild here tonight, Glenn, just pull us back on track.
Yeah, okay.
That's the last person to put us back on track.
All right. So, let's see. All right. Wow. So, doing good here. Good report yesterday. Doing good. We got a lot to cover tonight, as Katie mentioned there. So, it's going to be an interesting show tonight. Let's go out in the room here, and let's just say hello to a couple people there. First of all, let's see if we can. Alan, how you doing tonight? Come on in here, Alan.
Alrighty. Good evening, everybody. Good to see you all. And looks like we have an interesting show. For tech tips tonight, I'm just going to kind of follow up what we did last week, where we kind of talked a little bit on paper, if you will, about how a super heterodyne receiver works. We're going to kind of follow that up with part 2 and show you what some of those signals look like in various stages of a super het receiver. So for those of you that watched my latest video that I posted a couple days ago, you already saw it, but you're going to see it again. Anyway, that's what I got.
That's good. Looking forward to it. All right. Who's next? Let's take Bill. Bill Brown, how you doing, man? And I understand you got run over at Walmart.
Well, it wasn't Walmart, it was Menards, but 100 shopping carts smashed me to the concrete floor. So I have a fractured ankle, but it's not too bad. I can hobble on it. So, but I had to be taking a little. So I've been taking it a little easy. But we have some exciting news about Jamboree on the Air. I have a few photos that I can show you later.
We'll talk about that. And I think I know what you're going to talk about.
Yeah. So it's great to get the Boy Scouts involved in amateur radio, and so that's always exciting to see that.
All right. Well, just remember, next time all the shopping carts heading your way, remember, duck and roll. Just duck and roll. That's what you're supposed to do, man.
Duck and cover.
Yeah, okay. I guess it depends on the terrain or whatever. Okay. Hey, Glenn. How you doing, Glenn? Come on in here and say hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing pretty good. I don't know why your picture didn't switch.
That's because I'm hiding.
There you go. Hey, Glenn and I, we met up at the Ham Swap Fest this past weekend over in Arkansas, and we'll talk a little more about that later, Glenn. And I've got a little 1-minute video, and we've got you at your table there.
Yeah.
What else is going on?
I got my copy. Man. You know, if this writer was any good, it'd be fun to have. But yeah, finally got my copies of my own book.
Now, did they charge you for that, or did you get that free?
No, I got it free.
Well, that's good.
Special.
Good.
Wait.
What's the name of it? Show us again. I want to see the name.
It's More Arduino for Ham Radio.
All right. Well, that is cool, man. We got Arduino on here, and guess what? Tonight we also have Pi on here. Now, Raspberry Pi is different than Arduino, and maybe you guys can discuss that and the differences tonight. But both of them are fun to work with, I know.
Dan, did you get the author to autograph it?
No, he won't.
Okay.
I think we should have a showdown between the Arduino and the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
No, that could be fun.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's see. Okay.
That leaves you
and we've
with
got
David.
our guest tonight. Our guest tonight is David Rush, KC8JQ. David, are you there?
I am there.
There
Hi,
you
guys,
is. There
ladies,
he is. Okay, man. How you doing tonight?
I am well, and I'd say, and you guys, but everybody's given us all their health reports, so you're all ambulatory.
Yeah, that's true.
So we're about level field.
Yeah, okay. Well, hey, looking forward to doing your segment tonight and talking about your show. You've got a podcast on called Drama.
I do.
And Drama
Because
stands
I'm
for...
Dave Rush, and it's an Ask Me Anything, so...
Dave Rush, Ask Me Anything, Drama. So that may be a little exciting. We'll talk a little about that in just a little while. Okay? All right, Katie, are you going to try to pull some pictures up and share them? I see some more. There we go. I thought
she's having...
Is she having problems?
You do it. Oh, there it is. It's done now.
She can't get the mouse to work.
Well,
right.
it's not
All
that.
right.
It's just...
Hand me that demerit list here, please.
Get another demerit.
Another demerit.
Trying to get the mouse to work. Now
Okay.
I've got the mouse in my hand, so
All right.
I have the power to mute her.
No. Glenn's going to be jealous on that one. Usually
All right.
I'm muting Glenn.
And you know
Yeah, I
what?
think we should
Hey,
Roll the show to Rodan.
Hey,
Yeah.
just one observation. Katie, you and Dwayne's picture is smaller on here than anyone else. So I don't know if your camera resolution is down or not, but it's okay. It's a decent size, but it is smaller.
I don't know why we haven't changed anything.
It's the snow. Everything contracts when it's cold.
I guess it does. Hey,
Yeah, our internet contracted down to next to nothing for about 3 days.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of issues.
just real quick before we get into shack pictures, how much snow did you guys get? Anything significant?
Budafoot.
Yeah, it was about a foot of snow, and now we're expecting a few inches again.
Yeah. Not expecting too much tonight, but it's snowing out there already.
That
Wow.
would shut our area down for at least a week or more.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I was just in Arkansas 2 weekends ago, so I missed your little ham get together by a weekend. But I analyzed the job. We got the job, so we're going to be there in January putting that sawmill together.
Great. You mentioned
3
what we did
flakes is all
recently.
it takes.
Well,
Yeah.
I can tell we're having a little bit of internet trouble with you guys out there. I think your wires are cold. They're probably frozen. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Katie, you want to pull up some of the first pictures there? We'll do the ones that we can find, okay?
Okay, let me go over here and I see what you mean about the camera. I don't know what's changed, but let me share our screen here. So we did have this past weekend we had a club meeting, and Dwayne started. We started with an extra class. We have how many guys in the class? 5?
4.
Well, we have 4 people from the club that are in the extra class. And at our meeting, we found out from a couple of members that said they've been talking up ham radio lately with a bunch of people. And so we're going to work on some updated PR out there in the community, because they said they've been talking to quite a few people who are interested in at least getting their TAC license so that they have some communications, and hopefully we can also get them interested in our club and in our community activities. And then we couldn't seem to figure out anything that worked for everyone's schedule for like a Christmas party. So instead, as we kept working our way through January, we ended up at Winter Field Day. So we decided we're going to do Winter Field Day at our clubhouse and have a party. So we're just going to kind of roll it all into one.
All right.
So anywho, that's kind of what we've been doing. But so we did, Tom put the call out for some shack pictures. And so I'm just pulling these up from Facebook. And I know we've shown a couple of shots from Robin's shack.
Katie, are you on a NASA page or is this shack pictures?
I know.
This
that's
is Robin's updated shack.
Yeah, Gulf 1 Mike Hotel uniform. He's gotten some new monitors, and I was
a couple of new rigs and
also this really cool stacking system. He's got some in different areas of his shack, but yeah, it's really slick looking. So he's got 2 of the ICOM 7610s. He's got a 7900, a 7300, and 705. And you can see, and then and our friend Bob pointed out that he's also got a scotch sitting on the table over here. So, so let's see. So thank you for sharing that, Robin. Let's see. We're gonna have to just kind of wing it here, guys. Sorry. Oh, Bill, we know this guy. Let's look at this. This is your QSL card. Hey, look at all that dark hair of yours.
Man.
When you were in Ohio, still same call sign. That's super cool. That's a great photo.
I actually had hair then.
Yeah.
And
I didn't want to say that. I just said dark hair.
And that's a Hallicrafters SX101A receiver, which is really a phenomenal receiver. And that's a Johnson Viking 2 that I used on CW. I used those FT243 crystals. And we always tried to put some graphite on them to change the frequency, or we used an eraser to try and change the frequency. It was a big crystal inside of this holder you could unscrew. And so it was a lot of fun. But this is circa 1970. This was 1 year after I got my my ham radio license.
Cool.
You ever use the nail file to try and change some of the frequency?
Do what now?
You ever use a nail file to make the crystal smaller?
That would probably be a radical change, but yeah,
Yeah, it would.
I just basically tried the graphite and the eraser.
We had some receivers when I was in the Marine Corps that we had to do that too when they changed our bands. We didn't have the right crystals, so we took the bigger crystals and made them smaller.
Hey,
That's
look
great.
at this youngin'. All right, here's our host. Look at Glenn's had to take his glasses off to get a closer look. Look at Tom, 1964. Tom, why don't you talk about your shack there? That's a great. We should do some old photos too sometime. Some early. I should say early photos.
Yeah, I was deep into it there. You can tell by the way I'm concentrating. I'm sure that there was some rare DX coming in at that point. But back then, for a novice back then, we didn't work much DX. If we worked California, that was DX for us. And but there's some of the equipment we had. A separate transmitter, a separate receiver, a night kit transmitter, Helicrafters SX140 receiver that it actually did 80 through 6 meters, and that transmitter also did 6 meters. And I held my tech and my novice license at the same time. Back then you could do that. So I was WN5 KUB on the novice bands on CW, and I could get on 6 meter voice as WA5 KUB. Back then when we got our license, the novice license was good for 1 year, and if you didn't upgrade, you couldn't renew it. It was over with. So there's a couple pieces of test equipment up there, a signal generator, an ICO signal tracer. That's about it. Pretty simple shack there.
Oh, there you go.
Demerits.
Sorry.
Demerits coming.
Technical difficulty again.
She cannot run the mouse
I
tonight.
couldn't run it either. Quiet. All right, sorry, folks. This
Right.
is another Tom Pot picture. This looks like when you were in the military.
No, that was
No.
about the same time period, about 1964, 1965, and I think
Wow.
it's it's the same T150 transmitter and receiver there, but I think help me out here, guys. I think it was borrowed. That's a DX40, I think.
Yeah, you got the DX40 in the text.
Yeah, that's a DX40 there, and the VFO, the Heathkit VFO above it there. And down on the very end there, the left end there, was actually a 6 meter converter, which I never used for anything. My receiver did have 6 meters on it, but right above the receiver is a homebrew electronic keyer. It weighed about 20 pounds. It had a transformer out of a TV to run it. It was a tube keyer, and there's a Vibraplex key on the desk there. And if you notice, I've got a fancy desk right there. 2x4s.
Yeah, that door.
2x4s at a door. That's it, man.
All you need.
Yeah.
That's great.
The only drawback to a door is you got to make sure that the hole's in the right spot. Put it in the back where the doorknob hole
that's
is.
true. That's
then
true.
you can run wires through it.
That's true. Now this next one's not really a shack picture, but it's a homebrew, and it was in my dorm room at college.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that right there, we built that in the floor one day, and you can see we kept our parts.
That's kind of going to do the Lego thing on your feet in the dark.
Yeah, we kept our parts under the bed there. That's a 6146 transmitter. We put it in the AM band. I'm guessing it was about 90 watts. And we had a long wire antenna that went out our second floor window out to a tree or a telephone pole out there. And back then we didn't have telephones in the rooms or anything like that, but we were lucky. Right outside our door, we had the hallway telephone on the wall right outside our door. So people would call us with requests for music. Of course, we didn't have a big amount of different music, so they usually got what we had. But that was radio station KRUD, CRUD, and we crystal controlled. I had a ham friend in Russellville, Arkansas, that worked for the Forestry Service in their radios, and somehow he had a crystal that put us right at the top end of the the broadcast band. So we used that. We weren't on real long. We did not get called into the dean's office for that. We did for other things, but we didn't get in any trouble with that.
Tom, I think if you didn't clean up all those parts at night, those would be worse than Legos stepping onto capacitor resistors.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
In my doctor's office, there's a little sign on the wall that says, "On a scale of 1 to stepping on a Lego, what's your pain?"
Great. All right, so here's someone new. I don't remember that we've shared his shack pictures before, but this is Brian, November 2, Oscar Tango Yankee from Amsterdam, New York. And he has got the Yaesu FTDX 3000, and he's using the MFA 998 tuner with it, and using this the ALS 1306 amp with it. Also got the Yaesu FTM 400 and sharing the love with an ICOM 9700. He said he just got a new Mosley Pro 67B antenna about a week ago. So he's looking at getting that up to be about 70 feet in height. It's motorized in a fold-over tower for this coming spring and summer. So, Brian's going to be looking for some new friends in the Amsterdam area because there's going to be an antenna project coming up. That's a sharp-looking shack. Thank you for sharing that, Brian. Appreciate that. And that one kind of looks like a Star Trek phone right there. I'm not sure what's going on, but I know, but it just kind of looks like.
No.
And let's see. And here's our last one. Whoa. Wait for it to. There we go. John's photo. All right. John didn't give us description, so you know what that means.
Boy.
Time for everybody to go to make up what's in his shack.
Looks to me like he needs a cooler on his computer. It's red hot.
I know.
Well, right
Okay,
there.
let's make it up, guys.
All right, let me blow it up.
Top right. I see the Kryptonite Paraphase Thunderbolt greaser slapper.
Oh yeah, he's got the hotline to the White House there on the right too.
I was just going to say he's got the backup communication there at the bottom right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So, guys, you got to know this. If you don't give us a description, Katie gets to make up things. So,
I like the fluffer nutter thing that you came up with.
Fluffer nutter.
Fluffer nutter thing. This almost looks like it's built almost like a Go box, but there's just too much stuff in there on the left to be a Go box. But kind of the same concept. You get the radios in there, and then he's hanging his headphones and his microphones on the side. That's actually pretty handy to use for a nice corner spot. Looks like he's been relegated to the basement in the corner there, so that's.
That computer's just way too hot.
Oh yeah, that's really super cool though. All right, so yeah, that's a great looking shack, John. I'm not even sure what John's. Oh wait a minute, there's a comment here. I'm not sure what John's call sign is. Did he add anything?
You want to comment? No.
I apparently can't even see it. So
I think there's some more, Katie. I think if you scroll down, there's some more down below.
All right, let's see.
I think I'm seeing.
Yep, there we go. Oh.
So if you're hunting for a couple, I sent you a couple emails, some pictures from my shack from 20 years ago.
Oh, cool. Did you email it or you put it on
I
Facebook?
emailed them to you, Katie. So a couple of shots from that, and then one shot from way before ham radio.
Oh, okay.
Way before ham radio.
All right. So Galen, he's Kilo Echo Zero Queen Papa Golf, and let's see. He said since he can't read and do as originally asked, so he apparently wasn't ready for us to make up whatever's in his shack, and he gave us a little description here. The Palstar AT2K, Yaesu, another FTDX 3000. That is, super radio, very obviously very popular. Also the 991A, the FTM 7250. So obviously we've got a Yaesu shack going on in here. He's got a few other switchers going on that we're not seeing in here, and looks pretty. Is that the power supply that we need, or the switcher?
That's the tuner.
Oh, the tuner. Okay.
Tuner.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
2000 watt.
Very nice. That looks good too. Thank you, Galen. So he must be here somewhere in the middle of the country with a zero call. And there's Earl. Wow.
Oh.
He's got a lot going on there. That looks awesome.
Look at that mixer he's got.
Sheesh.
Yeah, we get to make up stuff too. Look at this.
Whiskey Alpha 4 Kilo Bravo Tango.
Yeah, I like the DX160 there. I got one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first radio I used to listen to.
Well, I bought the DX160 that I have. I bought after saving up a whole summer's worth of lawn mowing money.
Yeah.
I got mine by default when a roommate left it when I was in Japan. He couldn't haul it back, so he left it with me, and I had it. So
Nice.
yeah.
Very cool.
What's he got in there? He's got some rigs.
Let's blow up a couple things here, so now I can see a little bit closer, but
Can't read anything.
I can't. It's sorry, it's just the quality, but we'll keep moving because I really want to hear what David has to watch tonight. So, I did just get. Hold on, I'm going to minimize this and drag this over for you guys. Look at that young man! Woohoo!
There we go.
Who is? Wait, here it comes. I'm sorry, there's a delay here. Where is it? It's coming. There he is.
Whoa! Look at that.
So, Alan, this is from how long ago? 20 years ago?
That's probably from 2000, from 21 years ago.
Yeah, you still drive Fords?
I do, actually. I think
All right.
I still have that sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Well,
That's great.
one thing is you don't have the hair anymore.
No, I don't have the hair anymore. No.
Yeah. Sorry. Let me
Or-
see.
or
He
the
sent me
beard.
another one, so let me just grab this real quick. And then this one you said is pre.
That's
No, I
nuts.
think that one.
Oh my goodness, that's too cute. Look at you. Here comes another quick one. Sorry, guys, are looking at my paper there real quick with.
Yeah,
He is.
that's probably
Oh,
that's probably 55 years ago.
oh, that's super cute. Did you send me a Shaq picture too?
I did. Yeah, the other one. There's two other ones that actually
4 pictures.
in the shack. There.
I had a pair of glasses exactly like that, Alan.
I think we all did.
There we go. You're looking
I think
kind
they're
of mean
limited
there.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
there we go. There's a Shaq picture.
Kind of
Yeah,
looks
that's
like
right
the
after I bought my
mad,
870s, so that's
mad
probably
scientist or
2001.
something, Kind of, I don't know. Maybe on a James Bond movie, the mad guy, the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that an etch a sketch up
Yeah, it's
there?
got an etch-a-sketch.
Yes, it is. It's got my call sign on
I
it.
love it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can't quite do that, but
It's probably
that's
it's probably
fun.
right after I bought the 870, so it's probably 2001.
And you get that
Yeah, all
really,
they
you
could
got that
afford was
really
an
large,
Etch-a-Sketch after the 870.
you got
That's
a really
right.
large globe up here.
Yep,
very
That's your
nice.
logging program is the Etch-a-Sketch, right?
there you
Right.
go.
I'm gonna stop
Gotcha.
there.
Got the popsicle. Lollipop microphone.
Oh, that's great. That was fun. Thanks everybody for sharing. What was that? I think
Now I guess I'm
stopped
going to have to dig up my old pictures.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see those one day, Glenn.
Yeah, but Glenn, when you show yours, you're watching dinosaur eggs hatch.
That's right.
Glenn's pictures are drawn on the Etch-a-Sketch.
Dirt was new and improved back then.
Well, if you're like me, you just your pictures of you randomly show up on the internet that people dig up from place. There's this picture
Pretty
of me
much.
from W1AW like 10 years ago that every now and then pops up on a Foreign Hams page and then it gets shared and like, oh, great picture. I'm like, thanks. I was a lot younger then.
Well, you got.
Anyway, so thanks everybody for Shaq pictures. Let's shoot to do it again maybe next month and we'll do a little more pre-bagging and we'll be a little more organized.
A little
But
more preparation.
a little more preparation, yeah. But thank you. I'll turn it back to you, Tom.
All right, thank you, Katie. Oh, okay, that was great. I didn't think we were going to get many Shaq pictures at first. We didn't get a lot of people sending them in. We got a few there at the last minute, so that's good. And we had a lot of new ones. Used to and I asked this time if you sent your Shaq pictures in the last 6 months, don't send them in this time. That may be why we got less, but usually we get tons and tons of Shaq pictures there. All right, let's take just a quick break. We'll be right back in just a minute. ICOM has the perfect base station ready for action. The IC9700, the 7610, and the 7300 SDR transceivers are top of the line and are the first choice for contesters across the globe. Robust base stations like these cut through the pileups, letting you work the bands and record those contacts. Stay connected remotely with the RSBA1 app to keep your competitive contesting edge with ICOM. Heard it, worked it, and logged it. The IC7851 gives you a new window into the RF world and is HF excellence unparalleled. With faster processors, high input gain, high display resolution, and a cleaner signal, it's truly the pinnacle of HF perfection. The SDR that every ham wants is the IC7610. This high-performance SDR can pick out the faintest of signals even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. The 7610 is a direct sampling software-defined radio, and it will change the world's definition of an SDR transceiver. Create your own band openings with the IC9700. This transceiver brings direct sampling to the UHF-VHF weak signal world. This all-mode transceiver is loaded with innovative features that are sure to keep you busy. It has faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal. The IC7300 changed the way entry-level HF is designed. This high-performance innovative HF transceiver with a compact design will far exceed your expectations. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios.
LDG Electronics provides state-of-the-art antenna tuners for every amateur need. From QRP to QRO, fixed stations, portable and remote, an LDG tuner will match your radio to your antenna using our lightning-fast, proprietary tuning algorithms. LDG is a family-owned and operated company dedicated to bringing innovative, quality products to the amateur market. All LDG products carry a full 2-year warranty that is fully transferable. Support is only a phone call or email away. We're always here to help you. Visit us on the web at ldgelectronics.com.
All right, and we are back, and we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight to the show. Again, if you're out there listening on International Shortwave, WBCQ 7490, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email to tom@w5kub.com. Also, please hit the subscribe button. We'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. It really helps us a lot. And let's see, what else can I tell you? Oh, join our Facebook group. We got a great Facebook group of over 12,000 hams. And it's called Amateur Radio Roundtable, or it's called W5KUB. The simplest way is just type in a search on Facebook for W5KUB, and you'll find it there. All right. Well, very good here. Hey, our next guest contacted me. It's David Rush, KC8JQ. And David has a podcast called Drama. That stands for Dave Rush, Ask Me Anything. Katie, Glenn, Bill, maybe we need to make up something for, make our letters mean something. But drama, okay. And the show focuses a lot on Raspberry Pi computers and using them for tools for people studying to achieve various IT certifications and so forth. So let's bring Dave in right now and say hello to him. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
I am well, Tom. You?
I'm doing good, man. So you've got a podcast, and hey, one of our goals is we're going to help each other out. We're going to tell people about your podcast, and you're going to tell people about our podcast, and we're going to triple our numbers here.
That's right.
We need to do that.
I could
right?
go from 20 to 40. You're saying, huh?
That's right.
Incredible.
That's right. We need to do that. So tell us a little about your podcast, when it is, and why you're doing it, and just some basic information about it.
Sadly, it's not tightly tied to ham radio. I've been a ham for coming up on 40 years now, I believe. But my company, where I'm an employee, started life as book writers. We write books for achieving all kinds of CompTIA certifications and other things in the IT world. And of course, the world has moved to video, so we ported that over, and we do a lot of video courses. I'm the stand-up instructor. We are one of a handful of federally approved instructors in computer forensics and all kinds of things along those lines. So I spend most of my time at three-letter agencies where they carry guns, and we talk about how to preserve evidence and how to seize computers and things like that. Well, of course, when shutdown came, the government said, we don't want you in our facilities breathing on us anymore. So we started a weekly podcast, and then it turned into 5 days a week. And my boss does this very generic, let's talk about anything technological as it relates to these various IT certifications. And I'm a Raspberry Pi guy and an Arduino guy, not to Glenn's degree, of course, but right up there, having a lot of fun with it. And I asked him when he got bored, and he said, I don't want to do 5 days a week anymore or 3 days. Can I have your slot and we'll talk about Raspberry Pis? And he said, well, what do you want to do with Raspberry Pis? I don't want you doing just Raspberry Pis. That doesn't help the company make money. And I said, well, I had this idea that people could use Raspberry Pi computers, spend $35, and create tools that they could use to advance their studies. So from something as basic as building a web server to fundamental electronics, how to turn on LEDs and how to control them with web servers and how DNS works. And so kind of morphed into that. We do a 2-hour show every Friday at 2:00 on YouTube. I'll throw you the link in a moment. And we talk for about an hour, news and tricks and traps of the week. And there we get technology in, we get astronomy in. That's truly a Dave Rush Ask Me Anything. And then for the second hour, we do some kind of Pi project. Today, we're going to create a DHCP server. Today, we're going to, this Friday, I am veering away from the requirements of the studies that people are doing because they get a little bored with that sometimes. And we're going to do a retro gaming system. Some of the folks here watching, and maybe some of the folks right here with me, have created a retro Pi. So you got to pull out your handy dandy ancient wired game controller and play games that they invented in the 70s and 80s and maybe into the 90s.
Wow, you got a lot of stuff going there.
We did.
A whole lot. And I know there's several people in our chat room that's working on various IT certifications and so forth. And my son has done a lot of that too. And he constantly, every few months, he's constantly, I guess, having to renew or learn new stuff because I guess you guys are discovering new things, right? All the time. Stuff changes.
All the time. We thank the hackers for that. Every time they find a weakness, it's the job of the IT world to shore that up and then create new technology where they don't have to shore it up. And as you say, it's a constantly moving target. I'm sure the folks at Yaesu and ICOM are doing exactly the same thing.
Well,
plus everything we do is obsolete every 3 years. So you've got to relearn new stuff every 3 years.
Absolutely. When I was 13 and I went to my first Dayton Hamvention, and I was agog at all these rigs and cool things and stuff that went way back before that. I asked, how do people do this? How do you get this stuff? Oh, we buy it, we use it for 3 years, and it becomes obsolete, and we sell it and replace it with new or build new.
Yeah. Well, and even nowadays, I mean, all the new radios, they're computers, and I guess you have security issues with radios now. Well, you wouldn't think you would, but I guess if you're not careful,
it probably goes back to when the first mods and the first, I guess we'd call them hacks today, came out. How to swap out a crystal for a VFO, or how to install a noise blanker. Now, of course, the vendors, the manufacturers weren't upset about that, but with all kinds of secure communications going on, sure.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You got your rig hanging on the internet now, so you can do it. Somebody else can. I mean, remember the Big Bang Theory when they had the guys on the internet turning on and off their lights?
That's right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. They sent that signal all around the world and turned their lamp on and off.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got a big kick out of when they did the moon bounce episode, but it wasn't RF.
Well, I was afraid they were going to blow the moon up.
Well,
I don't know how they knew they wasn't going to blow the moon up when they did that. But that's some of the things that we want to do. EME moon bounce is something I still want to do here, using digital and lower power and smaller antennas. So the kind of things you're talking about there are things that I still want to do in ham radio, and we have an application in ham radio to do them.
Me too. I've never done AMSAT, and that's something I've always wanted to play with.
Yeah. So your show is every Friday, and it runs for a couple hours. And I guess if you're on YouTube, everything's recorded, right? So you've got a lot of shows correct. Recorded, and people are going to be able to go back and pick out different shows that maybe they missed or are interested in.
Right. We've got 64 shows in the can, I believe, right now. We started doing this around June or so of 20, something like that.
Yeah.
So
we need to make sure. Are you in the chat room tonight? Are you in our
I'm
chat
not.
Room? You're not?
It's
okay.
not.
We need to make sure that we get your website and all that stuff out too. So if you can't get it in the chat room, just send it to me, and then later I'll post it on our Facebook page, and I'll still post it on our Facebook page for others.
That sounds good.
Okay. So do you? You said you used to work for a lot of these 3-letter companies, and I understand what you're talking about there. So, do you have are you in any contact with hackers as far as professionally there in your job? Do you work with hackers?
I don't work with white hat hackers who are on the outside of government agencies. I have worked with hackers inside the agency. They're amazing. They are so smart. While there are suite of cracking tools and things like that, the real bad guys, the serious bad guys, come up with their own stuff, or they modify existing stuff, and then they have these utterly brilliant people working throughout government facilities who are looking at stuff, taking basic tools, and then writing whole new swaths of code to pull this stuff apart. And they use analog technology and digital technology. It's nothing like the movies, as you would well expect, and nothing ever is. But it is like the movies in the same way that we remember programmers in Unix and Linux worlds who locked themselves in dark rooms and didn't bathe for many months. That's not far off from some of these folks.
Oh, yeah.
Dave, I have a question for you.
Sure.
I go into cybersecurity classes here and give a little talk about hackers, and I tell them I was one of the very first hackers of a distributed communication system, but it wasn't the internet, and they just never figured it out. Can you guess what that was?
I'm going to guess you were listening to Grandma's Party Line.
No, I was a blue box phone hacker.
Oh, okay. Actually, I'm not super far off, but that's incredible. Nice.
Hey, Dave,
and I was contemporary with Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. I found the information about the secret frequencies in the 1960 Bell Telephone Technical Journal in a library in California, and scrawled across it was, "Congratulations, you found it too, WOZ."
Nice. Oh, that's a great story. Thanks.
Dave, I wonder in your circle of computer forensics, do you know Rebecca Mercury, K3RPM?
Only by name.
Okay, yeah, she's also a local here in New Jersey, a friend of mine. So, and I know she's in the same business.
Yeah, I don't think she's probably heard of me. I live at a much lower tier, or a much less visible tier when I'm doing what I do.
Yep.
So we've started exploring, Glenn, the relatively new product from the Raspberry Pi folks, the Raspberry Pi Pico. It's got some comparisons to Arduino. Arduino does, of course, has a much larger community and a much larger base of technology, but a lot of fun playing with both, because I never played with Arduino until I started playing with the 2040. And once I understood, okay, that's how that works, now I can play Arduino. So piles of stuff over here.
Yeah, it's addicting. And it seems like the world is moving towards Python.
Absolutely. Right. People ask on our show all the time, especially younger folks. I want to get into IT. I want to play. I want to be a DevOps or something like that. What language should I learn first? And we don't have the answer. We have cast that out to zillions of other DevOps, and hands down, by far and away, number one, Python, followed by JavaScript.
I thought Java was supposed to die, though.
Yeah.
It's the language that won't die.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and of course, the guys who are looking to do things, get processing to happen quickly, they're playing C and C++, and a few of them still C#. But yeah, I mean, Python is so easy to learn. It's so easy to grasp as a first language.
Yeah, it's like the BASIC that we had way back when.
Absolutely.
Well,
and there's still fundamentals of BASIC that's been carried forward into Python and helped me learn it.
all right, so Dave, why don't you give us your website or where we can go to see some of your videos and join
Sure,
your...
yeah, I didn't make a slide for it, never even thought about it,
Well,
but
that's
it's
okay.
pretty easy to remember. Let me preface it by saying the company I work for, nobody ever heard of. It's called Total Seminars. But
Okay.
everybody knows our president and our senior author and all our celebrity face. His name is Michael Myers, and he writes and has written all the most popular CompTIA certification books. A lot of your folks on here know that. And so with that in mind, our YouTube channel, we do, again, this show 3 times a week. Mike does it Mondays and Wednesdays. I do mine on Friday at 2 o'clock Central Time. And it's YouTube/user/ I love this, Total Seminars Channel, all one word. So youtube.com/user/Total Seminars Channel. And we'd love for you to come in. Mike talks about anything and everything, all technologies. How does fiber optics work? What's the signaling look like? How does Diffie-Hellman process work? And then mine, of course, moves a little more tightly focused. I'll take any question for the first hour on any technology. We got a crew who works the back channel. They're reading questions on the YouTube chat way in advance of us, and they know what we know and what we don't know. And if there's something we don't know and can at least get started on it, they'll post an article on our back channel. And most of the time I work solo. Oftentimes I work with a partner, my direct supervisor. He's an editor and a writer and a technologist. So he's reading questions and prepping, ready to go. And then when we get on a project, then it's all me.
All right. Well, hey, let's talk ham radio just for a minute. Are you active much on ham radio?
I wish I could say yes. At my age, I should be more active and be doing less work. But I work like a 20-year-old. I put in about 16 hours a day, and weekends come, I don't want to do anything except work out a little bit and lose some weight. So I have a shack. It's buried up there, and it stars a Drake TR4 line, DR4CW, R4 VVFO, and a handful of that. So I don't even have work bands. I still work the old ancient stuff when I'm up there.
Yeah.
And Katie asked a question. I wanted to answer that. I did something to show my age. Some of you are maybe familiar with this. Back in the day when you had a call sign from a region, my 8 is from Ohio, and you operated outside your region, then you added that / and the region number.
Right.
So I'm KCAJQ Portable 5 technically, but not anymore. It's just there for nostalgia.
Well, that's right. And you're down in Houston now. And just like
That's
when I got my license, I was a 5. I kept the 5. And I'm over in Tennessee now, which is a 4. But I'm only probably 30 miles from, where I originally was licensed, But, okay. Well, hey, Dave, thanks so much, man, for being with us tonight. And you want to stick around in here? And I don't know if you said you're in a chat room or not. There may be some questions for you. We'll
get in the chat room, and I'll stick around here for a little bit, watch and listen. I can't wait to hear about part 2 of the Superhet. That's a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, we really appreciate you joining us tonight and talking about this. And we'll try to get the word out about your podcast and see if we can't help you increase your viewer base a little bit there.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. Thank you for the invite. Everybody should know this all started out when I found you in a different venue, and I wrote you a letter to talk about that venue. And next thing I know, you said, "Hey, why don't you come on and talk about your thing?" So I really appreciate that, Tom.
Okay, well, hey, man, thank you very much for being with us, and feel free to stick around and jump in with the conversation at any time. Okay.
Thank you, Tom. Everybody.
All right, thanks. That was David Rush, KC8JQ, who has a podcast on Friday afternoons called Drama. Dave Rush, Ask Me Anything. Okay.
Yeah, hey, let me throw this out there real quick, Tom, while Dave's still here.
Yeah.
I ran into something really cool. You know, you want to talk about the old days and nostalgia. There is a website out there that has emulators for a lot of the old CPUs and kits. I bought the DEC PDP-8, the Altair 8800, which is the 8800 is Arduino based, but the DEC PDP-8 and 1170, I believe it is,
of course,
are Raspberry Pi based. And there is a complete website out there, I have to dig up the URL, that will emulate those machines with the original code and everything.
I have absolutely. Yep, I've used the PDP on that site.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
I bought them. I had to buy them. I've got them over here waiting to be built.
Outstanding. Thanks,
Well,
Glenn.
that's cool. If I remember right, the old PDP, what were they, Glenn? Was there a PDP 11 or something like that?
Yeah,
or?
there was a PDP 8, the PDP 11. The 11 was the most popular business, and they used them for the timeshare systems predominantly. But,
well, I remember the PDP 11. It was a pretty good sized box, and now you can do all this with a little Arduino, right?
Yeah.
You can make it small, right?
They're emulating the Altair 8800 with a Arduino Mega.
All right.
And they're using the Pi for everything else. And I mean, it emulates the original code and everything. So I mean, it's amazing how you can do it now with a small board.
Yeah, it's really nice because those old CPUs, had no processing power by today's comparison. So you can do it easily on a gigahertz based system or anything that's done faster than that.
Oh yeah.
Now on our works PDP 11, and we had a game that we would play at lunch, and it was just letters, a little letter box, square maze, and it was called Quest or something like that. It was 26 levels down. There'd be a D for a dragon and P for a potion. And if you made it all the way down 26 levels, you got the comma, which is what you were after. Is that the name of it, Quest? Did you ever play any of that one? It was very popular. Like one of the early video games.
I never knew that.
I'm not
you
familiar
guys
with that one.
You guys really had some nice computer equipment. All I had was a VIC-20, and I see Russ in the chat room. He had a VIC-20, but that thing had 8K of memory, man. Let me tell you, nobody would ever need more than 8K of memory.
That's right.
Right.
I had a VIC-20 as well.
Yeah. And actually, I had a Air 1 card. I still got that thing in the attic. I got an Air 1 card that plugs in the back of that slot on that VIC-20, and it sends and receives Morse code. I already get that thing out and play with it.
That's neat.
Yeah.
I have a Sinclair, several Sinclairs kicking around, and Radio Shack color computers. Those were awesome.
Oh gosh, yeah. The Coco was big.
They had 4K of RAM and ran at 0.8 megahertz for the clock speed. And, that thing will run rings around my 2.8 gigahertz machine with 8 gig of RAM. And the beauty of it is you turn it on, it says ready.
Yes.
Instantly. And guess what? When you turn it off, what happens? It turns off.
Yeah.
It doesn't say, please wait while we update Windows. And that always happens when you're trying to plug your computer as a thunderstorm's about ready to hit.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a TI-99 4A and the speech synthesizer card for it, and I turned that into a contesting machine. So It would report 5x9 73s from KC8JQ, and gone to the next contest, and I didn't have to speak.
Yeah, we hacked the old speak and spells to get synthesizers.
A friend of mine, you remember the easy button? I think it was what store had the easy
Staples.
button? Staples, and you could buy them. And so a friend of mine hacked his, and then when you hit it, it says, that was harder than it looked.
Oh. All right, guys. Hey, thanks. Let's move on, and let's bring Alan in here, and let's talk about this. Will be part 2 about super hit receivers. So, Alan, you want to come on in here and talk a little about what you got to show us here?
Sure. So last week we chatted a little bit about what makes up a super hit receiver. I'm just going to share kind of what we were looking at last week. A little minor edit from what we had last week. Again, this is just a really brief review here, because what I'm going to do is take a look inside of a super hit receiver with a piece of equipment that I normally use for my job, and I was able to kind of use it to make a video. But so remember the super hit receiver, we've got a front end that oftentimes has got maybe some bandpass filtering, some attenuation amplification, but the real magic of the super hit is kind of what goes on here. Looking at the mixer, where we're down converting or up converting, could be either way. The input signal's coming into an IF, and then the IF filter is going to be selecting one of the mixing components, and then sending that through for the rest of the processing. And what we described was, let's say we've got a couple of radio stations here that goes into the mixer. We've got a local oscillator that may be, in this case, what we call high side injection, where that local oscillator is higher than all these input signals. And what we're interested in is looking at the difference between the input frequency, or the local oscillator frequency, and the input frequency. And that's what we get here. Now, because we actually have a minus sign in front of FN right here, that means that the spectrum gets inverted. So this signal that's sitting right here is actually this one. That's the lowest frequency signal coming in. It winds up being the highest one here because of the spectral inversion. So that's why I kind of drew these arrows going in this direction and this direction. The middle one is the middle one, and then this one here is this one over here, okay? And then what we're doing when we're tuning the radio, we're generally tuning this local oscillator, okay, moving it back and forth. And what that's doing is moving these mixing products back and forth. And we're doing that until the signal that we want lands in the filter, essentially falls through, and that's the only thing that goes in to be further processed and received. So this is, a pictorial graphic of that. And what I wound up doing is doing a video that described all of this, but then followed it up with some actual measurements. So I think I think I need to stop sharing again, because I need to share again with computer sound so that I can actually bring up the sound of the back end of this video. So I'm going to start playing this, and then I'll pause for a second, and maybe Tom, you can let me know if the sound from the video is coming through. So let me play about 10 seconds of this, and I'll stop.
All right.
Now our test subject for this video is my old Realistic DX160 5-band communications receiver.
Were you able to hear that, audio?
It's coming through great.
Okay, very good. So so I don't know if Eric is watching from his shock picture. He had the DX160. Well, guess what? We're going to look inside the DX160 now and look at those signals inside there. So here we go.
I bought this radio in the mid-70s after saving up lawn mowing money for a whole summer. I've got a number of probes sitting inside this receiver, and we're looking at the RF input coming from the antenna, going through some input amplification stages. And then we're looking at the local oscillator, the output of the mixer, and then the output of the IF filter. Okay, so here we have a couple of selected points in that receiver, looking at the spectral content of it. The top trace here, the yellow one, is looking at the RF input. So this is a portion of the AM band. I'm centered at about 830 kilohertz in the center here, starting from 580K up to 1.08 meg. So it's about the lower half of the AM broadcast band.
I want to pause here for a second, because one thing I wanted to point out is you'll notice a little bit of a hump in that noise floor. It's coming up here kind of towards the center, then goes off. And what that's showing you is that in this particular receiver, when you're tuning the local oscillator, you are also tuning an input bandpass filter. And if you watch carefully when I start tuning in a little bit, you'll see that hump move back and forth here as well. So here we go with the video some more. We can see a pretty strong signal here. There's another strong signal here. I've got some spurs in here just coming from noise here in the lab. So that's what's being shown just in terms of the input signals coming into the receiver. This next trace here is actually looking at the spectral content of the local oscillator that's going into the mixer. Now, while these two spectral plots have the same span, they have a different center frequency. So the center frequency of this one here is actually at 1.2 megahertz. Let's kind of center that up there. Okay, so that's centered at 1.2 meg. So we can see this signal here is sitting a bit higher than 1.2 meg. All right, so it's over, past this right side edge of the input spectrum. Now this signal down here, shown in red, is the output of the mixer. And so it does have a bit of a hump right at the IF frequency of 455 kilohertz. And the reason for that is because the load of this output of the mixer is going into a tuned circuit. It's going into an IF transformer. So it's essentially a tuned load. So it's going to provide more gain at the IF frequency. So it's essentially the beginning of the IF filtering, although it's not the IF filter itself. Now, if we look carefully, we can see this input signal here, which is pretty strong. We can see the modulation sidebands on it. It's an AM signal. That signal is this guy over here. Okay, you can kind of recognize that if you look at them both at the same time, they're doing the same thing. So this is that spectral inversion that I mentioned. So working my way up, there's another couple of signals working my way up. There's one here, another one over here. Those are this signal here, and then actually this one over here. And there's a couple of other strong ones here as well, like this guy here is likely that guy. All right. And then finally, the last output here is taking the signal out of the mixer and going through the actual IF filter. So we're seeing essentially just the passband response. And we can see I've got just a lot of gain at the 455 kilohertz center frequency, but all these other signals that are outside of that passband are really not making it through. So that's where we're getting our selectivity. So what we're going to do is tune the radio, and what we'll see is the local oscillator frequency move and this spectral content move, so we can place any of these particular signals into that IF filter. So let's tune down. Okay, so I want to tune down to this frequency here because that's about the strongest one I have on the band here. So that's this guy. We want to put that guy into the IF filter. So you notice as I'm tuning down, the local oscillator frequency is coming down, and the spectrum of the signal, the output, is moving down. All those components are moving down here along with that. So when I get down to that strong signal right here, I'm just going to ease up on it here. And now with that centered in, now I can see that signal is making it through the IF, really no other signals are, and that particular signal is now being converted down from this LO to the mixer output, centered on the IF output, or the IF filter. The IF is stripping away everything else but that signal, and that's the one that's going into the demodulator to actually go listen to. I hope you enjoyed this brief look. Yeah, so just a little bit of a follow-up from our discussion last week, and I thought that after presenting the paper, I gotta do a video on this while I'm thinking about it. So I had the scope here for work, and figured, what the heck? I go grab the radio off the shelf and brought it down onto into my office and spent a lunchtime making a couple of video clips inside the receiver. So. Hopefully that helps to kind of help you visualize what actually is happening in your receiver. And when you're tuning the knob, you're not necessarily tuning a tuned circuit. You're tuning the frequency of a local oscillator to actually bring in the signal actually you want to hear. Stick it in the bucket of the IF filter for going demodulating it. So,
Mike has a question in the chat room.
Yeah.
Did you see it? Or
let's see. So yeah, Mike Fike's questions. The super heterodyne question: does the IF filter need a little bandwidth, or perhaps to match up with the occupied bandwidth of the transmitter, or do you want it to be an extremely narrow filter for good selectivity? Well, Mike, I guess it kind of has to be both, right? It has to be narrow enough to give you the selectivity that you want, but wide enough to pass the occupied bandwidth of the signal that you want to hear. So, which is why on amateur radio, we oftentimes have a selection of filters. We might have a 400 or 500 hertz wide filter for something like CW or maybe some of the digital modes. We might have a 2.6 or 2.8 or 3 kilohertz filter for single sideband, and then maybe a 6 kilohertz wide filter for AM or something like that. So the answer is really both there, Mike. Good question.
All right. Any other questions? Cool, man. Keep the segments coming. We enjoy them.
We will do.
All right. Well, let's move on, I guess, to our next thing. And again, if any other questions come in for you, Alan, we'll be watching for them here, and we'll bring this back into discussion here.
All right. Sounds great.
All right. So, hey, this weekend was a ham fest over in near my hometown, over in Arkansas, and Glenn and I went to it. Glenn went over and sold some equipment. He needed to sell some stuff, and it was close to my hometown, and I wanted to go to my hometown and look around, and so I stopped in at the ham fest. Got there kind of late. It was small. It wasn't a ham fest. It was called a ham swap meet. They didn't have any prizes. It was a swap meet. And they ended up with about probably close to 50 people, I guess, joining. This was their first year. And they really had a good facility to have it for inside, and they had plenty of room to tailgate outside. So I think this thing's going to grow and probably probably turn into a ham fest sometime in the near future there. Glenn, I've got a little quick video here. Let me run it, and then we'll talk a minute about it. So this is, I'm talking here to Al, and Al's call is NI5A, I believe. He set this up, so here we go. Well, that's not the video. Hey guys, I'm at the Crowley's Ridge Swap Fest with Al, NI5A here, and this is their first year they have a swap fest. And it's near my hometown, so we dropped in, and guess what? Look behind us. You might see Glenn Popel back there. He's here today. But hey, tell us a little about it. How you guys got this together, and how many people you had come in today?
All right. Well, the club actually formed. The original Jonesboro Amateur Radio Club basically dissolved, and I bought the equipment from the old Jonesboro Amateur Radio Club, and then we had the Poinsett County Club. And we were friends, and so we decided just to merge to form one group. And that's where we came up with the name Crowley's Ridge Amateur Radio Club. We're in about our 4th year as a club, and we do have a net that we call on Wednesday evening at 8:30. Like anybody to join in, it's good. And this is our very first swap fest. And we were managed to get this facility, and it's large enough, it's indoor. I think we can grow. And we've had about 42 to 45 people here today, and so I think it was pretty good for our very first one.
Well, I think so, and like you said, you got plenty of room to grow. A nice facility here. You're out of the weather. I assume if you wanted to do some tailgating, they would allow tailgating out there, right?
Yes, the parking area out there is huge, and it's paved. And if people wanted to come here and get a table, we only charge $10 for the table, and that money went for our club. But if they wanted to just tailgate outside, they could, and that would be free.
All right. Well, hey, we're excited. I'm glad I got to get up here and see this weekend with you guys. It's near my hometown of Wilson. We're going to swing by there in a little while. But, hey, tubes, man. You don't see tubes much anymore.
You know, what's really nice is we've got 5 vendors here that brought stuff, and a lot of it was good old vintage stuff.
Good old stuff.
And you just don't get to physically hold an old tube in your hand and anymore.
I tell you what, back in the old days, when you turn that radio on and these tubes heat up and that dust,
yes,
that dust starts giving off that little dust.
Yes.
You knew things were doing pretty good.
It's just like when you turn your heating system on the first time during the year and you get that little bit of an odor in your house. That's the way the radios used to be. You know, when you hadn't used them in a week, you turned it on and you had that aroma in it. Those were good old days.
That's right, they were. Let's, Kathy, let's walk over and see Glenn for a minute. So hey, we're here with Glenn. Glenn made it. Everybody knows Glenn. And Glenn, sorry you didn't sell everything, but well, this is the first Ham Fest you've been able to
first Ham Fest I've been to in forever.
Yeah. Well, you got some nice looking stuff here. When you go out again?
So I mean, it's been fun. I got out of the house for a day. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, nice day today.
It was perfect. I mean, it was like 49 degrees when I left the house this morning.
Well, even though it's a little small, it's been enjoyable meeting and talking to everybody here today. And guess what? It looks like the Ham Fest are coming back now.
Yeah, they are.
After a couple of years, they're coming back. So we're thankful for that. All right. Well, what do you think, Glenn? I got there right about the time that everybody was kind of packing up to leave, I guess. But 50 people, that's not bad for a rural area like that.
No, they need to get the word out a little bit more, but, plus, it's post-pandemic, so everybody's just kind of starting up. It was fun to get out, met a lot of new people, and, I got out of the house for a day, and I broke even, maybe made a little bit of money on the deal. The problem is I brought more home than I, sold, so gonna have to find another one.
Well, it was a little closer than I thought it was. It only took us about 1 hour to get there from here. How about
just
you?
An hour up the road.
All right.
Glenn, I saw a cartoon and it showed a wife talking on the phone. Yeah, Bill went off to a ham fest to get rid of a bunch of junk in the ham shack and clear up the house a little bit. And it shows him driving in the driveway as she's on the phone, and his car is just filled with stuff, and it's tied to the roof. And
oh man!
Well, actually,
a lot more.
I was a little bit limited in space because I had a full car going up, so I could only bring a couple things back. But I think I bought one or two. But there was an interesting, when we were talking earlier about the older radios or the newer radios, computers and hacking. There was a guy that sold an FT101 EX, one of the original Yaesu radios. And of course, it's got the plate and the load knobs and everything like that. And the guy that bought it actually said, I guess I'm going to have to read the book to figure out how to use those knobs.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I had one of those, but not the EX. I had FT101. I think it was.
Yeah, this one had the external digital display and everything. It was a gorgeous radio. It still had the plastic on the front.
I never removed the plastic from mine either.
Wow. But that was a gorgeous radio.
Yeah,
I just thought it was funny. The guy had to read the book to figure out how to tune it. And that was second nature to us back then.
Oh, yeah.
Tune it till it glows.
That story of bringing stuff home from the Ham Fest, I used to always tell people, when you're bringing stuff in the house, you walk in the house backwards, because then if you get caught, you just stop and you'll pretend like you're bringing it out.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Alan. When I was in the Air Force, there were some guys that were actually building rooms. They were building rooms in their open bay barracks, and they had located some building material. And they were getting, plywood and 2x4s and stuff. And the SPs pulled up and says, "What are you guys doing?" And they said, "We're dumping this stuff here." And the SP said, "You're not going to dump that stuff here. Load it back on the truck and get it out of here." So that's how things worked back then, man. All right, guys.
Well, I had a friend that would go and collect all the junk from Hamfest, like at Dayton, the stuff that they just left in the parking lot. And he would put that in his van and his trailer, and he would spend the rest of the year selling it at Hamfest.
Man, I used to, at Dayton, man, when it was over, check out the trash cans, because there was some good stuff in those trash cans.
heavy stuff, but really good stuff.
Yeah, heavy and good. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, Bill, you mentioned earlier, I think about, was it Jamboree on the Air?
Yeah.
Did they send up a tracker, I think? You want to tell us about
There was a group in Illinois, and let's see, actually it was, let me bring up their website here. It was W9WWI, I'm sorry, Indiana, Jeffersonville, Indiana. And let's see if I can share some of the photos from it. But they had a great launch of a balloon with an APRS tracker that over the weekend for the Jamboree on the Air. And I always enjoy seeing young folks getting really excited about ham radio. So let me see if I can share that here. Okay, there we go. There it is.
There it comes.
Do you see that, Tom?
It's getting here. It's a little slow, but it's getting here.
All right.
It says you have started sharing. There you go. We've got it. We've got it now.
So after several days' flight, it showed up in Newfoundland on the second day, and then a really interesting thing on the left there, you can see it showed up just of Ireland this morning after crossing the Atlantic Ocean, and then it stopped, and it appeared again just off the east coast of the United Kingdom. And if you look close, it's going 10 miles an hour. That's where my geofence kicked in. It started up in the morning and immediately hit the geofence and stopped transmitting. And then it came back alive right on the east coast of the United Kingdom because for some reason the UK prohibits airborne use of amateur radio. So I abide by that, and I put a geofencing algorithm in the trackers. But this is a classic example showing that it does indeed work. So
well, we've had several launches. We've always kind of missed going over England, so we never knew how well it worked. But here's a good example.
Oh, yeah, it worked great. And so here's some photos of the launch. They launched some test balloons with the silver foil milers, but the actual is right here on the right with an SPS-13 and the Scout group. It looks like they had beautiful weather. So there's the SPS-13 on the right there. That's a plastic balloon that goes up to about 41,000 feet or so using helium and about 43,000 feet using hydrogen. So it looks like they had a great time and got the Scouts really excited. And they're really double excited now that it's made it across the Atlantic and heading for Denmark. So I just wanted to let you know about that really interesting thing. And there's another group launched by a school in Pella, Iowa, that went around the world. They just completed their first lap, and the really cool thing about their flight is after going completely around the world, taking about 21 days to do so, it actually went across within 3 miles of the place they launched it from. It went right across the city of Pella, Iowa again. And that's just phenomenal that it actually returned almost directly to the launch site after going completely around the world. So that was Whiskey Bravo Zero United Radio Whiskey -10 is that flight, and it's still flying. So it's on its second lap now. So that's some of the news going on in the balloon world, and I think you've got something going on shortly.
Yeah, we've got something here fixing to hit tomorrow, and let me just say this. I mean, the balloon launches we do may not be totally just a real in-depth ham radio project, but it's got a lot of ham radio in it, from flying QRP transmitters at high altitudes and trying to engineer complete 34-foot antennas that weigh less than 1 gram, and there's a lot in it here. We've got one person in our room here, in our chat room. Usually, anytime the word balloon is mentioned, he says balloon goodbye, and he leaves us. So most people here, I think, are interested in our balloon flights, and I hope it's some interest to you. And we're going to try to keep pushing the limits on this, and we're going to launch one tomorrow. As Bill mentioned, that SBS balloon is about the only balloon that will fly at about 44,000 feet. There's really nothing else out there really available for hams to try to fly. So over the past 2 years, we have tried to build a balloon that will exceed that altitude, and we've learned a lot on construction and how to hold it together, I think. But we've got one built, and we're going to launch tomorrow morning, and we're going to call this guy W5KUB 100, and we're going for the goal here. Now, our goal here was with a homemade balloon that cost less than $6 to meet or exceed what that SBS balloon would do. Now, here's my problem, and we had a big discussion on this last week, and I don't want to get into a 30-minute discussion on it, but Glenn will probably jump in here in a minute, and we'll get Bill in here. It's very hard for me to know the exact volume of this balloon. Here it is built, and it looks like it looks almost square, but it looks more like a pillow. It's not completely round, and in fact, actually the points come out a little bit on each corner. Now, Bill, Glenn claims there's an easy formula that that you can give me to tell me how much volume is in that balloon right there. So,
what I just basically said is the amount of lift that you're going to get off of that thing full. So fill it out, measure the lift, and that will tell you how much volume you got in it.
Any comments, Bill? Huh?
That would be an easy way, because you know the weight of the balloon material.
Yeah.
You know what a certain volume will lift. So that is the
okay.
easy
So
way to
I
do
know
it.
the weight. I know the weight of the balloon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do I need to know next?
Well, fill it with completely up, like it's shown there.
Yeah.
To the point where it's almost pressurized.
Yeah.
Where it's completely full. Weigh the amount of lift that you have.
Now, wait. Do I put lift? Do I put free lift in there also, or?
No. You're just measuring the lift of the total, just the balloon itself.
Okay.
Fully inflated, and that combined with the weight of the balloon itself will tell you the amount of helium or hydrogen that you put into it.
Okay.
Just don't cuff your feet and zap it on the carpet. It's got the ferns on.
All right. Well, it's difficult to weigh. Let me just say this:
it'd be a nice fireball if it has any leaks.
Are you saying? No? Now, so Bill, how can I weigh that? Okay, so I know what the empty balloon that we've constructed weighs. Now, if I fill it with hydrogen and I get it tight, how do I weigh that?
It's going to be not weight; it's lift.
Well, Bill said don't.
You put it on your scale.
Yeah.
And I have these hook weights.
Yeah.
So you get like a figure approximately how much lift you're going to see on that, and then have a weight that is more than that.
Okay, and bring it up to zero. And bring it up to zero.
And then you put it on your scale.
Yep.
And do a tare weight on the scale.
Right.
And then hook the balloon to it, and that negative value is not really a negative value, but it will show as a negative value if you hit the tare button. That's your lift. But I have these little weights that have hooks on them.
Yeah.
You make one.
Yeah, you sent me one in our last tracker. I've got one.
Yeah, that's only 50 grams.
Yeah.
So it's a little weight with a hook on the end.
All right. So
and it's a precise weight. It's 50 grams.
It is precise. I've used it to test my my scales, and it's exactly 50. So I guess there will be a difference. There will be a difference between helium and hydrogen.
Right. Do you have any kind of helium?
I do. I've got some party helium, but I don't. That won't work very well.
Well, you probably wouldn't. Those party balloon tanks.
No.
Probably wouldn't have enough volume to completely inflate it from just one party.
Well, anyway, Bill, you can see that it's about that's about 60 or more inches square, and it's probably about close to 40 inches from the belly up to the top there. So
you could approximate it as a cylinder.
Yeah, and that's what I've always done that. I've approximated as a cylinder, but when you fold that top edge over, it doesn't make a cylinder anymore, so you lose a little there. But I've done all kinds.
But it's going to stretch out a little bit, so it's going to become more of a cylinder as it gets pressurized. So you could do a cylinder calculation, and then I would say you're approximately going to be about 70% of the volume of a cylinder, roughly.
Yeah. So if you look at that table, if you look at the table there, an SBS balloon is 36 inches laying flat. 36 inches flat. That's 72 inches in a circumference. This balloon here is 144 inches in circumference. So an SBS has a diameter. It has a radius of about 11 inches when it's full. This one has a radius when full of about 44 inches. So we're going from a radius of 11 inches SBS to 44 inches. It's a little bit shorter. It's about 1.5 feet shorter, but there's a lot of volume there, and we don't know where it's going to fly. We just don't know.
I would say roughly 50,000 feet.
Well, I'm hoping we break the 45. That's our goal. Typically I use that spreadsheet, Bill, and I calculate the balloons like cylinders. The height in inches and the width and diameter and all that stuff, and it's always been pretty good. But I know there's a difference there. And one thing, I've got a lot of extra tape on this one. This one weighs in at about 180 grams. And I probably have 80 grams of tape on there that I could get by without. 80
you
grams.
Have how much tape on it?
That what?
How much tape do you have on it?
I'm guessing from measurements and distances, probably have about 80 grams of tape.
And how much does the balloon itself weigh?
The balloon weighed, I think the balloon was 116 grams.
So you're close to 200 grams total.
Yeah.
Which is about twice the weight of an SBS-13.
That's right, but I think we have 4 times the volume here. Or 3. I think we got at least 3 times the volume. The spreadsheet. I mean, when you multiply length time with, take the area and so forth. An SBS is about 0.5 cubic meters.
Right.
This one shows about anywhere from 1.7 cubic meters to maybe 1.5.
Here's something to think about. At the end of the day, isn't it about free lift at sea level or at ground level that you calculate for based on height? It's not really volume because you're not going to fill that thing up to begin with.
The free lift only just turns into super pressure. It doesn't affect how high it goes. It's just enough to get you off the ground, and it turns into just super pressure. But it actually, the free lift, if you vary that, it really doesn't make a difference in the float altitude.
Well, Bill, I've done all kinds of calculations with the spreadsheet with different amounts of free lift. And again, based on a varying cubic feet. But I
think when it really pressurizes, it's going to turn more into
of a round cylinder? Okay.
It'll turn more into a cylinder.
So I'm thinking about I'm thinking about 17 grams free lift. And when I ran that number, that puts our pressure, our internal pressure, pretty low, actually. And this material, I've tested it like 4 times the pressure that this balloon should be under when it's flying up there. So it's all kind of, I mean, I'm doing it as much scientific as I can with the spreadsheets and weighing and so forth. But it's still going to be kind of hit and miss, you know.
Yeah. Well, it looks interesting. It'll probably generate from UFO reports.
Well, one thing about it, I probably don't need to send up a radar reflector with it. You know.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
it might look like a UFO actually. I hadn't thought about that.
It does now.
Yeah.
Well, what you need to do is on the outside, just kind of paint it, you know, take me to your leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put one of those discs on it, like they have on Voyager.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Bill, I used the homemade manometer. You've seen my pictures of my manometer that I use, and inches of water, and that converts over to PSI. And I took the, in fact, actually, this is a different one here, but the same material. And I took it up to 19 inches of water before it exploded, and probably it looks like with all the spreadsheets, looks like maybe 4 inches of water is about the pressure that you really need to be able to survive. And we're at 19 with that material. So don't know. This, by the way, Bill, this one right here is a $1.50. Look at this. This is a $1.50 SBS.
Right.
This is laying flat. You know, laying flat is 36 wide. That's an SBS is 36 wide, and an SBS is 90 long. This one's 84 long, 36 by 80, and it's Mylar. It's the silver, and this is the one I took up to 19 inches of water pressure. And the tape on it, it already comes on it for the sleeping bag. This is a sleeping bag. The tape actually did a great job holding it together. I didn't have any leaks, and I was real surprised with the tape.
Now you can't heat seal that stuff. You have to
No,
use
this
the
will
tape.
not. I tested it. It will not heat seal so at all.
Now, the one thing I have concern about this material is the amount of layers that it has.
Yeah.
You could potentially get pinhole leaks unless it's multi-layered, and I don't know how many layers are in there.
I have no idea. No idea.
And the one thing that makes those Mylar balloons work from Qualitex is they have like 5 layers in them, and they have and they're all different layers. So I don't know how this is going to perform as far as a leak. How do you plan to fill it? Mark suggested like a basketball filler.
Well,
kind of
if you notice, this thing has 4 corners on it, and
Right.
I completely sealed the seals and the 4 corners really tight. But to actually put this air in there, I cut one of the corners to get access to it, and put my filler hose in that corner. And what I'm going to do to seal it, I'm just going to come back about 5 or 6 inches on that corner. And in the middle there, I'm going to hit it with some 3M adhesive and let it get tacky. And then just as we sealed those other experimental balloons last year, we're going to just crinkle that down really tight, twist it real tight. I'll wrap something around it to protect it. We'll put a couple tie wraps on it, pull it tight, and then we'll fold it back. We'll fold it back 180 degrees with another tie wrap on there. So that's how we plan on. Sealing this after we get the hydrogen in it.
Now, how do you think that tape's going to handle when it's down to -50? I saw that.
I don't know. I didn't test it down to minus 50, but I did test it down to like near zero, just for a quick test. I put test strips in the freezer, even the adhesive test strips in the freezer. And of course, I know that's not minus 50, but it gives us some indication that it didn't get moist, it didn't start peeling off. This thing, it may leak. I don't know. We just don't know. This is this is an experiment, guys. Tomorrow, an experiment. I did inflate it there with just plain air. Got it pretty tight, and I did seal the end, and it stayed up just like that for the last 5 days. It didn't leak down any. So I'm just hoping that, typically other balloons that I have built, Bill, within a few hours, they'll usually leak out somewhere. But after 5 days, this one still felt just like it did when we
That's good.
Started it. So
now, when you put that tape on, you also use a 3M adhesive on it.
Yeah, what I did, let's if you take the to start with, I took the 144 inches as the circumference because I wanted a fatter balloon. I didn't want a long, skinny one. I wanted a fat one. So we took the 144 inches and brought it around and made it a circle, and that makes a 12-foot circumference. And what I did, Bill, I overlapped it about 1.5 inches, and I ran 3-inch poly tape down that seam. And the tape, in testing, the tape, you can't pull it apart. It's as strong as the Mylar itself, the tape is. But then we turned it inside out, and where we had overlapped it, we raised that 1.5 inches up, and we sprayed that entire piece all the way down with 3M 90 adhesive. And about 45 seconds later, that stuff gets really tacky, and then we fold it over.
Yeah.
We fold it over, and once it touches, you can't untouch it. So you got to lay it down flat because you're not going to move it. I think the adhesive would hold it. That 3-inch tape adds. A 3-inch tape adds about I don't know, 3 grams. 3 grams per foot, I think.
And you're planning to launch this at what time tomorrow?
We're going to launch about 9 in the morning. I've got to go by the doctor, and the vampire wants to see me. It's time for my physical, so I'll go give a little bit of blood about 7:30 in the morning, and at 8 o'clock I'll be back home, and we're going to put some.
I thought maybe you were actually going along on the flight, and they were just doing some preliminary tests, biological tests before you go.
So we're gonna hopefully we'll get in the air by about 9 o'clock, and it'll be W5KUB 100 is what we designated. I know that's a big number, but hey, we're shooting for the stars. We're going for the goal. So I thought let's make it 100, and let's just see what happens.
And it'll be W5KUB itself on Whisper, on 20-meter Whisper.
That's right. Yep.
And you're using channel Q7.
Yeah. Whatever that is we have set up, it's Q7.
All right.
Yeah.
Super.
All right. So that's what we got. That's what we're going to do tomorrow morning. So everybody, I don't think we can do anything live. It's real difficult with just two of us, one trying to, get the balloon launched and one holding the tracker and not break anything. So it's really tough to get live video. So we'll try to get a little video of the launch for sure, some pictures, and we'll put it on our Facebook group, and we'll have it on the show next week. And hopefully next week we can.
And the comment from Mike in 7ZEF, if this works and flies, will this make news as a Chinese weapon? You're actually going to send it to China. So.
Well, yeah. We hope it makes it to China. We hope it makes it that far. Who knows? We've used dry ice before to do battery testing. We tested the LiPo batteries to see how high they would go in altitude and work and so forth. But we didn't go that far on this one. I know it's going to get cold up here, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. it's going to be a pretty good sized target if it fills up tight, and if it stays in the air a week, it's going to be a pretty good sized target. Now, our goal, Bill, our goal really, our true goal was to try to fly 55. That's what I always want to do, fly 55,000. But I'm not sure that's going to happen. So our goal has been revised right now, and that is we're going to try to meet what an SBS balloon will do. And if we can keep this thing in the air for a couple weeks or a month or 2 months, and it costs $6 to make it, and it flies at 45,000, that's great. Bill,
Mark makes a good comment. It'll make an easier target for them to shoot it down.
Well, it will. Let's see. Could it be seen
Yeah,
from
but
the
it's going
space
to be
station?
15,000 feet higher up.
And I'm hoping. I was hoping for 65,000. Now that may be hoping too much. We'll be real happy if we can just break 60. But the thing is, if we go too high, Bill, if we go too high, we don't have any wind up there, and we're going to be really slow trying to get around the world if we get too high. So I don't know.
That's the trade-off.
Yeah.
Trade-off is you'll be above 99% of the storms, but you'll be going slow. And
I think the storms are what typically brings everything down. And so Bill, if you look at the sleeping bag here, this sleeping bag, when you put the numbers into the spreadsheet, the float spreadsheet, this thing is very close. Well, it's very close to the SBS in size, but when you put the numbers in.
Now that particular one looks like a pretty good cylinder.
Yeah, it really does. It does. And
how's this one different than the other one you showed? Is it?
This one is a sleeping bag. It came already taped up into a sleeping bag. You can see it there. Where the other one is I'm using an emergency blanket. I was able to find the same material as a sleeping bag, but I found it in extra large blanket that's 144 inches or 12 foot in diameter.
Okay.
So that's the reason we wanted to go with it, because we got twice the diameter of the material. So this should have about 4 times the volume. This should have about 4 times the volume of that.
My biggest concern with these materials is the leakage through the material.
Yeah.
But if you say that you've had it out for 4 days and it hasn't really leaked, that's a good sign.
That's a good sign. But I don't know. We will see tomorrow. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah,
it may come down. It may come down in the first 1 hour. We don't know.
And the Whisper, by the way, to answer the question that John WHJES just posted, it will be 20-meter Whisper. At the 2-minute mark is W5 KUB. At the 4-minute mark, every 10 minutes, it'll be something like QX7XXX. So, and the X's will be different values with the telemetry. So if you see W5 KUB on Whisper,
it's doing QRSS and JT9, I think.
Oh, that's right.
I think
that's right. So it'll also be on JT9, and I think about the 8-minute mark, and it'll be doing slow CW just below the Whisper band. So if you have a program called Argo, you can watch the slow CW. Did you put the slow CW around 92092?
Bill, I think it's where whatever the code was you had written. I think that's where it is.
Okay, well, we'll find out.
Before I had tried to shift the frequency, and I didn't do that on this.
Okay.
I didn't do it, so we'll see.
I believe it'll be in the actual QRSS band, which is just approximately 80 to 100 hertz below the edge of the Whisper band.
Well, I know here listening here on my Whisper receiver, I hear the QRSS. I can hear it.
Okay, good. And then the JT9 will be just between it'll be kind of around just below the Whisper band and just above the QRSS segment. So that'll be interesting to listen for too. So I'll set up here to decode the JT9 and the Whisper.
Okay. And Mark's saying we ought to fly this sleeping bag just to see what it'll fly. I think his sleeping bag. See, Bill, an SBS weighs 109 grams. This sleeping bag weighs 80 grams.
With the tape?
Yes, that bag right there is 80 grams.
Well, it looks roughly the same volume.
Yeah,
as
80. 80 grams. So I don't know. We need to just get a. Get a test out of just the sleeping bag, and that way, hey, Bill, we can report we're flying a sleeping bag around the world. You know.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be exciting. I'll be looking for it tomorrow.
Okay. Well, it's a little late to open the phone lines, I think, or open Zoom for anybody. Let's see any other questions in the chat room. Yeah, Mark said we shouldn't worry about going slow. Longevity. Yeah. Hey, I don't know, man. I'm hoping this material will stay super pressurized for months. I don't know, but we'll see.
The nice thing about going a little higher and going a lot slower is if you put, eventually we can get a crossband repeater going. That would be pretty awesome because it would cover a multi-state area, and it would be a slow-moving thing, and would provide great emergency comms for a particular area.
Yeah.
Because you're at the minimum wind fields above between 50 and 70,000 feet. That's usually the lightest winds. So you could actually have an almost stationary communications platform.
All right. Well, you guys stick with us tomorrow morning on our Facebook group. We'll try to keep you updated as much as we can, or as quickly as we can. Also, just go to APRS. Just go to our website. Go to w5kub.com and click on balloon. And if you'll click on the balloon up in the menu, it'll take you to our balloon page. And at the very top of our balloon page, we've got a write-up on the balloon we're launching, and there's a link there to click on to track it, and it takes you to APRS.fi.
And that's w5kub.com for EIRE. Ask where the link is. So.
Yeah. Let's see. So I'm just going to pull it up here real quick, and I'll show everybody. This will be a good place to watch for it. So just type in w5kub.com, enter it, and it brings you up to our website. This is our website. Up at the top up here, you'll see the word balloon. If you just click on balloon, it's going to take you to this page. And this is a simple way to find it. Just if you look right here, it says track the balloon on APRS by clicking here. You can just click right there, and it'll bring up the track. Also, I've got a map up down here. There's a map here. This is a Hab Hub. Hab Hub here should show it, I think. So you can see it here, or you can click on this link right here that takes you to APRS.fi. Like this, and it should take you to W5KUB 100, and that's what that says right there. And that will give you the information, like the altitude and so forth, and where it is. So that's where you need to be tomorrow morning. I need to get high split turned on. I hadn't thought about that, Bill, but I'd like to get high split turned on. I'll contact my friend down in New Zealand or somewhere. Do you have any contacts, Bill?
That guy and the fellow in Australia.
Australia, yeah.
That would be he's one of the admins, and that's
right. That's who I deal. That's who I deal with most of the time down there. But if you know somebody else that has another door into setting up the high split, it'd be cool to have it set up. After the show tonight, I will go ahead and send an email to him down in Australia and asked to set up high split. High split actually will allow us to get the tracking prediction model of where this balloon's going, and it's usually pretty accurate.
Yeah. It all depends on what your final float altitude will be, however.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we're getting close to the end of the show here. If anybody's out there listening on WBCQ on International Shortwave, we'd love to hear from you. You've been listening to Amateur Radio Roundtable. It's a show about ham radio. We'd love to hear from you. Send us an email to tom@w5kub.com. Tell us where you are, and we'll try to get you a QSL card from WBCQ. Okay, you had a typo in here, Bill. Your last comment.
Oh,
Yeah.
You had a
yeah.
typo.
Hopefully, you would get dollar signs.
I was going to say, send your money to Tom. He'll take all these
send the money
donations.
here. Man, I'm all psyched up about this. We've been wanting to do this for a long time, and we just don't know how it's going to go. But I have a higher level of confidence. You know, we built a balloon last year out of Mylar. It was only 36 inches wide, but we had like a 20-something foot piece, and when we folded it back, you know, and then we did a heat seal down the edges, you know, to make it a cylinder. Well, I think it came apart pretty quick as it went up, because when you heat seal that material and you've got it together like this and you heat seal it, when the gas expands in there, it's like peeling tape off of a roll of tape. It peels like this and comes apart. But if we had put those seams together like this, like a butt type splice, and ran the tape down it, you couldn't pull that thing apart. So we found out that, you know, a butt splice is better than a flat splice like this. I think we overdid it with the tape this time. The tape and the adhesive. The adhesive adds 0.2 of a gram per foot, and we've got there's probably 30 feet of seam in this big balloon we made. So, you know, that would be 6 grams if we could just get by with that. The tape at 3 grams a foot, that would be 90 grams. So, you know, I think we overdid it, but we're trying to put so much redundancy in this thing to hold it together, because guys, that's not an easy place up there to be. And even though you're looking at pressures of, you know, PSI, Bill, the spreadsheet shows PSI pressures at the altitude of like 0.1 PSI. Well, you think that's not much, but that's a heck of a lot. When we built that big balloon and we had those nylon nets around it, that net was popping like gunshots going off at that 0.1 of a pound per square inch, you know. So, you know, right now
who else do you got to helping you for the launch tomorrow?
Well, I've got my friend Ed's going to be with me. He retired with me from FedEx, and he was an IT guy, but he has been doing air conditioner type work since he retired, and so I just let him get the gas. He's my gas man. I don't think we would have any trouble getting the hydrogen, but of course it's easy for him just to walk in at this place and get it. I could probably buy it, at most any welding supply shop. We will use hydrogen tomorrow. Hydrogen's going to give us maybe a couple thousand more feet, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to.
N7 XGR said the ants will stay in the sleeping bag all of the time because it's warmer there.
It may be, so. Bill, I was looking at the spreadsheet again. It's just changing numbers around. It looked like about every 10 grams is about 1,000 feet. I may be wrong. So if I could take 80 grams of tape off this balloon, we might could get it to go up another 8,000 feet. I don't know. Don't know.
It'll be very interesting. So I'll have everything rigged up here.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun tomorrow. Let's see what it does, man. I'm pumped up. I'm excited about this. If you see on the TV a UFO going across Memphis, that's us. Yep. Okay, guys. Well, let's go ahead and we'll end the show. I appreciate and thank everybody that joined us tonight. We had a good turnout on the show tonight, and we'll see you guys next week. Save me through to everybody.